live right here on Facebook, as well as the Carving It Up YouTube channel and the Grid Network YouTube channel. As always, I am Bryson Carver, and not as always, am I not live today? As I always say whenever I do a show that is not live, that is pre-recorded, and we're recording around 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. If there's anything that's happened in the period between when I'm recording and when you guys see this, I'm aware of it. Just not the time that you're watching me. We've got a great show on tap for you guys tonight. We got the Vol View in 25 to 30 minutes to recap Tennessee's big-time win over Alabama to really save their hopes of potentially making an SEC title game, what Tennessee's season could look like moving forward as we approach the final month of the regular season. Yankees, Dodgers, the World Series that everybody other than Red Sox fans were hoping for. Predict that in about 45 minutes, more about 30 to 40. We're going to do a little bit of a shorter show today, 30, 40 minutes. Also, quick take on the Jets. It's just the excuses are flowing in like a waterfall right now. It's unbelievable. More excuses from the New York Jets, courtesy of Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams. We'll get to that a little bit later in the show. And of course, the end of today's show. It's a Friday, so that means we got NFL predictions. We got Bryce's Bleak bet. We got upset of the week, and y'all gonna like my upset of the week and my 3 games for my favorite segment of Carving It Up Live every single week. It is called If I Were a Bettin Man. So we got a lot to get into today. But let's talk about that Thursday night game last night. Let's go and start with that. But first, Rams win 30-20 over the Vikings. So listen, there's the controversial call. We'll touch on that in this segment. I did want to say this, though, on the outset. I am a loyal guy, but I'm loyal to the right things. What I mean by that, if you give me a reason to be loyal, this can be in anything. But if we're limiting it to just sports takes and predictions, I'm going to be loyal to if you give me a reason to, or if your past tells me that I should. And what the past tells me why I should believe in the Los Angeles Rams and why I never gave up hope on them winning the NFC West, as dire as it looked early. I remember through weeks 3 and 4, they had won one game. They weren't playing good football, in large part because they were just flat beat up. And the Niners were at the time healthier. And everybody's like, man, Bryson, what were you thinking with the Rams pick? I said, hang on. Once they get their guys back, then we'll have a shot. Also, do you remember a year ago when the Rams were, 3-6? And then proceeded to win 7 of their last 8 games and make the playoffs and then lose their wild card game, I think by 1 to the Rams. Could have easily won that game. To the Lions, I apologize. To the Lions. Could have easily gone to the NFC title game that year. And who knows? Maybe they would have beaten San Francisco. Maybe they wouldn't have. But I think we have to have an honest conversation about who this Rams team is. When they're healthy, they're as dangerous as any team in the NFC this side of Detroit. But you saw yesterday. Now that they got Puka Nacua back, who, by the way, steps right back in, 100-yard game. What a surprise. Now they get Cooper Kupp back, and last night feels like it all but sealed the fact that Cooper Kupp is going to finish this year with the Rams after some of the trade rumors were floating about. But Matthew Stafford was exceptional last night against a great defense, okay? 25-34, 279 through the air, not 1, not 2, not 3, 4 touchdown passes. He did have the 1 pick. QBR 0 to 100 of 86.7 and a passer rating of 124.5. Matthew Stafford was nothing short of fantastic last night. By the way, even with Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua back, you got guys like Demarcus Robinson stepping up, catching a couple second-half touchdowns, so kudos to him for getting the job done. Kyron Williams was active as well. Listen, this is, what I've always often quoted the Tracy Chapman song. Remember the Tracy Chapman song where she says, I won't sing it because I don't want to torture you guys, but she says, give me one reason to stay here and I'll turn right back around. Basically, give me a reason to still believe in you and I'll believe. Well, I don't know. Sean McVay's the coach. He's won a Super Bowl. Matthew Stafford's the quarterback. He's a Super Bowl caliber guy, potential Hall of Famer. We'll see. They've got as good of a wide receiver combo as there is in Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp. Kupp can still play. Their defense looked good throughout the course of last night, especially in the second half when they made some adjustments after the Vikings scored in their first 2 drives. I don't know. I'm looking at this Rams defense and saying, looks good. Byron Young, shout out Byron Young, Tennessee guy. The Rams offense is really good. They're getting healthier on the offensive line. And folks, 2 big components is, listen, we know making the playoffs in the NFL, it is a matter of who you play, when you play them. And when you look at the Rams schedule moving forward, folks, there's a lot of winnable football games. So they got at Seattle next week. Tough game. Seattle's a solid football team, but you get 3 extra days to prepare for that. Okay, and there's the divisional matchup, familiarity, and all that. Okay, then you play Miami at home on a Monday night. Advantage Rams, in my opinion. We'll see. God bless, too. I knock on wood for him. We'll see what his health is. At New England, that's a W. Okay, you host Philadelphia. Philly's got one of the worst defenses in football and one of the worst coach teams in football. Rams should win that on a Sunday night. At the Saints, that's a W. Okay, then you have Bills, Niners, that's tough. But then you finish with Jets, Cardinals, Seahawks. I don't know, the Rams are sitting here today at 3-4 in a division where Seattle's 4-3. Niners are tied with them at 3-4. As a matter of fact, the Niners today, if you check the standings, I believe San Francisco is actually in fourth place in that division, tied for fourth place because they lost to both Arizona and the Rams. The door is open for the Rams to take advantage and win this division. So, listen, if this is a team quarterbacked by a healthy Stafford, they've got healthy weapons, and Sean McVay's the coach, I'm not selling stock in this team. That's why I picked them last night. Short week for Minnesota. By the way, and we'll shift to the Minnesota side because this year's Detroit Lions, you notice I'm incorporating the Lions in this segment because they were my NFC title game pick and my adopted favorite team. I'm a Steelers fan, but I love the Lions. Is that this year's Lions are just like the Niners 2 years ago. You're like, Bryson, what do you mean by that? I'll explain. Every team, this is amazing. This shows you how great Detroit is and how they play. Every single team thus far that has played the Detroit Lions has lost the next week. Everyone, without fail. Every team that's played Detroit lost the next week. So basically, unless you're Tampa Bay, who's the only team that's beaten Detroit this year, if you're going into a game against the Lions, we'll see what happens with Dallas this week against San Francisco. If you go into a game against the Lions, you're about to put 2 losses back-to-back on your schedule because Detroit plays a physical brand of football. Again, they're going to quote Dan Campbell, they're going to bite kneecaps. They're going to they're going to beat you down physically at both sides of the ball and be great situationally. Minnesota now adds to that trend. Listen, there's a lot of controversy with that call at the end of the game, and it was, or rather no call, Byron Young, Tennessee guy, go Vols, grabbing the face mask of Sam Darnold. First and foremost, it was as egregious a miss as I've ever seen. I mean, I don't know if the ref, I haven't seen any angles, if the ref had like a clear shot. I know there's one ref in the back of the end zone, but at the same time, if you see Sam Darnold's head being pulled a certain type of way as he gets sacked in the end zone for the game-ending safety, you got to have some suspicion there. At the very least, I would imagine you can huddle up with the officials, see if somebody saw something, and then throw the flag late. We've seen that happen before. I don't know if they're able to do that in a situation like that. But be that as it may, and often in games like this, prime time, it's the tale as old as time. Well, the refs cost us. The refs screwed us. Did Minnesota get screwed in that call? Absolutely. But they still have the ball, even if that flag holds, and they get 15 yards. They're at their own 20. A minute 36 to go, no timeouts against a defense that's been dominating them in the second half. And they have to get a 2-point conversion. They have to get 80 yards and get a 2-point conversion just to tie the game, just to send it to overtime. So, listen, I think the Rams, we'll never know, but I think the Rams are going to win that game anyway. But for Minnesota, so listen, we're 7 games in, and I'm still waiting for that Sam Darnold turning back into Sam Darnold moment. Now, not Jets Sam Darnold. I'm not waiting for that because that was, as I always say about the New York Jets, it's where young, apparently these days, old quarterbacks' dreams go to die. But could Darnold turn back into Carolina Darnold? Or at least have moments where he looks like it? I don't know. 18-25, 242 touchdowns, QBR 0 to 100 of 86, and a passer rating actually higher than Stafford's at 128. I don't know. He looked pretty good. So I think if you're Minnesota, there's no panic. You got you got the Colts on a Sunday Night Football at home. We know how much of a home field advantage that the Vikings have at the U.S. Bank Stadium. That's as loud of a stadium as there is in football. Again, disastrous call, no question about it, or rather disastrous no call. Terrible. And listen, I've always been a guy that's defended officials in the sense that, guys, a lot of these fouls are bang. They are like, pass interference, run for the passer. These are bang, split second, heat of the moment calls. You got to make them, but they're difficult. I know this as a intramural ref, which is not exactly in the level of professional football refs, but it's harder than folks think. That is obvious. That has to, the yellow stuff's got to come out in the field. So I think the NFL probably would be would be in the worst state of mind if they were to find these refs the way they'd find a player if they criticize the refs, whatever the case may be. And I'm a guy that defends officials. I again, as in the case with this game, as most games, when people say, "Oh, the refs are the reason we lost," it's like, no, it's not. You couldn't convert in the red zone twice. You still, even if that flag holds up, you have to go 80 yards in a minute and a half and get a 2-point conversion. Like you're probably not going to win that football game. But either way, I think Minnesota's going to be fine. They're far better than I thought they'd be, certainly with Darnold. They're a well-coached football team. And I mean, you saw Sean McVay versus his protege. I didn't mean for that to rhyme, but that's what you saw. Sean McVay and Kyle Shanahan. Kevin O'Connell, who was the offensive coordinator with the Rams, was on McVay's coaching staff, now is doing a great job with Minnesota. Chess match between those two. Elder statesman, if you will, got the best of them. And matter of fact, is McVay older than O'Connell? I'm not sure. He might actually be younger, but either way, whatever the case may be, Minnesota's gonna be fine. They got Tennessee on their schedule. They got the Cardinals. Like they've got a lot of winnable games on their schedule. So I think Minnesota's gonna be fine. Win the division? No, that's as tough as that division is. That's the choice division to lose, but Minnesota's gonna be fine in the long run. So I'll say this, and I've said it the last few weeks. Kudos to the NFL on this Thursday night schedule. I mean, even moving forward, just think about this, okay? Week 9, we got Texans, Jets. Week 10, Bengals, Ravens. That's a great Thursday night game. Week 11, Commanders, Eagles. That's good. Week 12, Steelers, Browns. Steelers going to smoke them. Week 13 is Thanksgiving. Week 14, Packers, Lions. That's as good of a Thursday night game as you could possibly imagine. Week 15, you got Rams, Niners. Week 16, Browns, Bengals, and then week 17, you got Seahawks, Bears. That's the day after Christmas where you have Chiefs, Steelers, and Ravens, Texans. I mean, that's going to be like the NFL had heard the complaints for years. Like, we're tired of Carolina and Chicago on a Thursday night football game, a standalone on primetime. That's about as good as it gets. I mean, we saw Denver and the Saints, and that looks like a typical TNF game. That was fantastic last night, Rams and Vikings. So very excited to get to continue to move forward with this TNF schedule. Transitioning, though, briefly, because we have to talk about the Jets when we can. Because give it 3-4-ish weeks. I mean, the Jets season is already over. People just don't want to admit it yet. Teams that start 2-5 have a 6% chance to make the playoffs. You're telling me an old Aaron Rodgers, who hasn't been good in 3 years, is going to be the guy that turns it around, who, by the way, is an atrocious leader. Speaking of leadership, though, the excuses just keep on coming with the Jets, as well as the disturbing signs. As far as the disturbing signs, Steelers blow out the Jets on Sunday Night Football, 37-15. My Steelers actually went on to score the final 31 points of that football game to win by 22. Which, by the way, Russell Wilson, maybe there's something there. I don't know. I'll talk more about my Steelers, about Russ, when we predict that game on Monday Night Football against the Giants. They're going to crush the Giants. Point is, you know who spoke to the Jets in the locker room after the game was over? Wasn't Aaron. Wasn't Sauce Gardner. Wasn't Garrett Wilson or Breece Hall. It was Davante Adams, who had not even been in the building for a week. Ask yourself this. Basketball example. Karl-Anthony Towns has been a Knick for less than a month. They just got the doors blown off them by the Boston Celtics on national TV on ring night for Boston. You think Cat's speaking in the locker room before Brunson, Tibbs, Josh Hart? You think that's going to get? Of course not. You think a guy's going to get traded? DeAndre Hopkins just got traded to the Chiefs. I mean, D-Hop, if the Chiefs were to somehow lose to the Raiders this week, you think D-Hop's going to be the guy who speaks to the team? No. That's Mahomes. That's Chris Jones. That's Kelsey. That's Andy Reid. That's the organizational structure. Everything that Kansas City's built on is on those four men. It shows a lack of leadership. It shows a lack of stability. And the guy who's been in the locker room for 4 days, that's the dude speaking to the team after the game. Oh, well, Bryson, he's trying to add leadership. Love and respect Davante. It would have been nice. Raiders fans could attest to this. It would have been nice if maybe he was the heart and soul of the Raiders locker room. Now, maybe it just was he wasn't inspired to play without his buddy Aaron Rodgers, which I understand that. I do. You know, it's not as fun coming to work when you're not coming, to work with your guys, with your buddies. I get that. But at the same time, Davante, it would be one thing if Davante came from the Steelers or the 49ers or heck, even Kansas City. Right, a historically well-run, winning franchise that knows what he came from the darn Raiders. Okay, he hasn't been Green Bay in 3 years. So I think that shows a lack of leadership. It shows a lack of organizational stability. That the guy who's been there shorter than any of us here is the guy speaking. That's number one. Number two, as far as the excuses, folks, it's something every week. It's something every stinking week with this Jets team. Okay, so they lose to Denver, and it's the cadence. The timing between Aaron Rodgers and the receivers, the cadence is not good, which, by the way, could be the case. Would have been nice if Aaron had showed up to mandatory minicamps. Maybe they could iron that out. Neither here nor there. Also, Aaron, I mean, it was every other answer. I mean, the weather. I mean, listen, it was pouring rain. What do you want to do? I mean, I don't know. I mean, Denver scored a touchdown. You didn't. Maybe get in the end zone for change. You don't do that much. Week 5. Week 5, the excuse was, I mean, listen, what are you going to do with Robert Saleh calling things? Which Saleh's not a very good coach. He's a great defensive coach. Defense has regressed badly since Saleh left, or was fired. But Saleh was the problem. So they fire Saleh. And then they lose to the Bills. Well, we need Devontae Adams. So they bring Devontae Adams in. And then they lose to the Steelers. And Aaron Rodgers this week says, we got to play. I'll do my best Aaron impression. We got to play with more joy. We're playing too angry right now. Listen, maybe I'm going to go on a limb. Maybe I'm wrong when I say this. I don't know. Maybe the reason that the Jets are 2-5 and on a 4-game losing streak, it could be because they're not that good. It could be because their roster was terribly overvalued by, it felt like, the whole entire media and most fans. Aaron Rodgers in particular, who I won't play the footage, not the footage, but the tape again where we show all the quarterbacks who thrown for 300 yards more recently than one Aaron Rodgers. But it's a lot. And Aaron hasn't done it since week 14, of course, of the 2021 season. There's been changes of coach, changes of play caller, new wide receiver. Some games haven't been as rainy as week 4. Now it's we got to play with joy and with, I don't know, Aaron, maybe start with yourself. Maybe look in the mirror. I mean, anytime somebody makes a mistake, I'm not saying you got to be happy-go-lucky and be fake optimistic. That's honestly what has driven me crazy over the years about Russ. Now, Russ seems to have dialed that back. We'll see if that continues. But I don't like inauthenticity. I also don't like condescension, distancing. I mean, do you watch these Jets games? And they pan to Aaron Rodgers on the sidelines. He's all by himself. He's not sitting with he's not even sitting with Devontae. He's not talking much to a play caller. He's just kind of on an island. Aaron Rodgers, I've always said this, he's an independent contractor. Like, he's never going to be the heartbeat and soul of your football team ever. Now, he's supremely gifted, or was supremely gifted, and by the way, could still throw as beautiful football as any human being on planet Earth today. But is he a guy you want? Again, is he a guy you want in this situation? 2-5. Okay, I mean, what did I talk about yesterday? I was talking about Jerry Jones. Like, Jerry's management style does not allow Cowboy players or coaches to effectively lead because he kneecaps them every chance he gets. And the analogy I gave with that on Wednesday's show on Carving Up the Context was our historically great presidents in United States history. I've studied U.S. presidential history longer than I've been a fan of sports, honest to God. The best ones lead us and are at their best in times of crisis. Oh, Aaron's at his worst in times of crisis. When the going gets tough, Aaron's like, "Hey, y'all, y'all go figure this out, okay? I'm gonna do my thing. I'm gonna throw pretty footballs and wow, still Aaron Rodgers truthers. But I'm not gonna win a whole lot of football games." Aaron Rodgers, of course, since the start of the 2022 season, has a record of 10-14. Doesn't win much, doesn't put up numbers, he isn't a good leader, is old, is off an Achilles, and is making excuses week after week for a Jets team that simply, folks, is not good. They have the same record as the Jacksonville Jaguars and a team that plays in the same stadium as them, the New York Giants, yet for reasons I'm not quite sure are not discussed as such. It's remarkable to me. We're not playing with enough joy. No, you're just not that good. I hate to tell you, Aaron, not really. You're not a very good football team. Either way, we'll be right back after this 1-minute break for a recap of Tennessee's big-time win over Alabama. Once again, this show is not live. The show's recorded. It's around 9:50 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So again, if there's anything that's happened in sports, I'm aware, just not the time you're watching me. Still, if you can, chime in the comments. Let me know what you think. I'll probably see them at some point tonight. See what y'all were thinking about the show. But we'll be back in 1 minute for the Vol View to look ahead to what could be a very, very interesting final month of the season and a chase for the SEC championship for the Tennessee Vols. We'll be back after this break. Welcome back to Carving Up Live. So I was in Neyland Stadium on Saturday. It was a great afternoon, great night. When the night was over, I ended up on the darn playing surface. That was fun. But Tennessee knocked up Alabama 24-17. You probably heard in my Open to Monday show. Very, very exciting day. But Tennessee's got a lot of football ahead. Tennessee is entering in November where they got 5 big-time games, and including 2 of them against ranked teams in the SEC. So Tennessee's going to have a chase to the finish line, not just to see if they can get in the college football playoff, but folks, can they be in the SEC championship game for the first time since 2007? So, once again, the Vol View, and what's to be a fantastic edition of it to talk about Tennessee, Alabama, and what the Vols look like moving forward. The Vol View begins right now, and it's football time in Tennessee, baby.
You're darn right. It's football time in Tennessee.
In Tennessee.
Oh, indeed it is. So it's football time in Tennessee, although not this week for the Vols because they're on their second and final bye week of this season. But quick recap of the game against Alabama. So it was it's funny. I questioned Alabama's defense. I didn't question their offense much. I think Bama has a defense that can get got, and Tennessee, I think, exposed that despite scoring 24, which we'll get into. But I thought as great as Tennessee's defense is, and it has proven itself, honest to God, to be national championship level. We'll see if the offense can keep up. I thought Bama would still have their way. Jalen Milroe was a Heisman candidate. Again, keyword was. I think that might have, for at least for the moment, taken him out of the race. Ryan Williams, phenom freshman, 17 years old, didn't really do much of this football game. And the crowd noise was a clear factor, forcing Alabama into, 15? It was 15 penalties? 15 penalties for 115 yards. But for Tennessee, I think the really, listen, there's a lot of good you could take away because you won the game, right? You won the game, you beat Alabama, you have a tiebreaker over them if necessary. You keep your hopes alive for an SEC title berth, and you put yourself in really, really good position, given your schedule ahead, to make the college football playoff. But Tennessee, I just want to go over this. They moved the football at will against Alabama. I'll just show you this, okay? First drive, got down to the Alabama 38, fumbled. Couple drives later, Tennessee got down to the Alabama 35, missed field goal. Tennessee again got to the, to stop there on 46, interception. Got down to Alabama 19, interception. got down to Alabama 32, missed field goal. And Bama led 7-0 at the half. Because Tennessee's defense, in large part, due to, and I've talked about this guy in the Vol View many times, Jermod McCoy, stand up, my guy. Big time interception in the end zone. Did it with one hand, too, to hold Alabama in the end zone. It kept the game 0-0 early on. Or was it a 0? Yeah, 0-0 early on when Bama drove it down inside the Tennessee 5-yard line. Jermod McCoy got the pick and really, stole 7 points from a Tide in a game that Tennessee won by 7. In the second half, Tennessee was able to establish the run game. Nico Iamaleava was very inaccurate throughout the course of that first half. Looks kind of shaky. Didn't move on the pocket, but he settled down, got outside the pocket, delivered one big-time second-half throw to Deontay Thornton down the sideline to set up Tennessee for their lead-taking touchdown, 14-10 in the third quarter. Listen, it's the thing that is so frustrating, and Tennessee fans can attest this, the thing that is so frustrating about watching this offense is that the plays are there, right? Like there was a lot of criticism of Josh Heupel coming out of that Arkansas game. Coach, you coach too conservative, you coach not to lose, all these things. And I agreed with that. And folks ripped him for the Florida game. And my thing was, the plays were there. Like, Heupel called a fine game. They just couldn't take advantage on the first half. They were able to survive, obviously, in overtime over the Gators. But the frustrating part about Tennessee's downfield passing game, either because the guys are separating consistently. Thornton, Squirrel White, we'll see what his shoulder status is for next week against Kentucky, okay? Brew McCoy, who's more of an intermediate route guy, and then obviously Brazel as well. They're separating consistently, but either Nico's overthrowing them or he's living right in the money and they're just straight up dropping them. So that's something I think Tennessee has got to work on during their bye week. But for the Vols moving forward, and as they stand currently, in the scope of college football, Tennessee is ranked 7th in the country. And that's what I said before the Alabama game that I found comical was the fact that both Bama and Tennessee lost to an SEC opponent on the road, unranked, that they shouldn't have lost to, turned around and barely win a home game that they should have won by double digits. Yet Bama was at 7, Tennessee was at 11. I thought that was insanity. I think Tennessee showed you that on Saturday night. But as we stand in the SEC, folks, Tennessee is tied, or not really tied. They're in that 4 spot. They're the 4th best record in the conference. Conference record, at least. Texas A&M, kudos to them. They're number 1, but they got a big game tomorrow night against LSU. I imagine the Tigers will win that game. But Texas has 1 loss. Georgia has 1 loss. Missouri has 1 loss. Missouri's not going to win the conference. Vanderbilt has 1 loss in the SEC. So Tennessee's going to have to play pretty exceptional football down the stretch to put themselves in position to make the conference title game ahead. Home game against Kentucky. Home game against Mississippi State. Then the game that will decide, in my opinion, who gets one of those spots in Atlanta. Tennessee, Georgia, from Athens. It's going to be on November 16th, so in a few weeks. And again, that game's in Athens. Then Tennessee finishes home game against UTEP, and then they go to Vanderbilt, who all of a sudden is the 25th ranked team in the country. So, kudos to the Commodores. For Tennessee, this defense is my man Alfred Parsard Jr., who's our graphics guy and a good friend of mine. Love Alfred. He texts me. He's a big college football fan. He'll text me during Tennessee games, and anytime Tennessee defense will make a play, which is often, he'll text me, defense too real. Defense too real. And gosh darn if it isn't too real. Tennessee, folks, this is remarkable. Insane. Tennessee has not given up 20 points to any team this season. Not once. Not even Arkansas who beat Tennessee. They won that game 19-14. No team has scored 20 points on the Tennessee Vols defense. They got ball hawks like Jermod McCoy. They got pass rushers like James Pierce. Fly to the football. Listen, my man Tim Banks, I don't know what Tennessee's paying him to be their defensive coordinator. God knows he's getting head coaching interviews, or at least offers during this toward the end of the season, and certainly in between, during bowl season. Tennessee, that's a blank check guy. You pay whatever you got to pay the man to keep him in Knoxville, because he's been doing an insane job with this defense. Defense, keep doing what you're doing. As far as the offense, Tennessee has got to generate a consistent pass game. The run game's great. Dylan Sampson is on the verge of actually breaking the single season record for rushing touchdowns by a Tennessee running back. I think he's like 1 or 2 off. So shout out Dylan Sampson, who's having a fantastic year. But Nico Iamaleava and these weapons, Nico's got to stop overthrowing them, And when he doesn't, they got a hole in these footballs. So I think Tennessee's in a great spot. 7th-ranked team in the country. You got a home game, and what I imagine will be a blackout against Kentucky. For those that don't know, everybody will probably be wearing black in the stadium because Tennessee's going to be wearing their black and orange uniforms for Halloween, which are dope. And the Vols are in great position to make the SEC championship game. Listen, I won't go so far as I said before the Arkansas game. That didn't age well. Tennessee's the best team in the country. No, I'm not going to get too cocky. That's Oregon right now, who is my natty championship pick before the season, so that's aging well. But Tennessee, that's a gigantic win they got over the Tide. Great win for their resume, and the Vols will be in really good shape moving forward. So that is it for this week's edition of the Vol View.
Football time in Tennessee.
Gotta love it. Gotta love it. So we've got, starting tonight, and at the time of, not the time this recording, but at the time that this show is going out live, we've got a World Series between two giants in the sport. Now, I'll say on the outset, I'm wearing a red shirt. Didn't realize it was going to represent, the Red Sox for my show today, because I'm a diehard Red Sox fan. This is, I think, about the worst case scenario for me and my fellow Red Sox fans. So on one side, it's pretty simple. You got the hated Yankees. Come on. And then on the other side, I personally like the Dodgers. I'm a massive Ohtani fan. I recruited him like nobody's business last year. Did the best I could with the platform that I had to try and get Ohtani to the Red Sox. That didn't work. It didn't come close. Frankly, the Red Sox didn't get anybody. Certainly not Ohtani. But my man, I'll never forget the front office for this. Mookie Betts, who inexplicably at the start of 2020 was traded to the Dodgers and could be on the verge of a second ring with the franchise and third ring overall. He got one in Boston, ironically against the Dodgers in 2018. So here's what I know. Can we go and get the background music going right now? The more intense one, so we can predict this thing, because it is going to be a fantastic series, I think. So, New York Yankees, Los Angeles Dodgers game 1 and 2 in LA. If the series goes longer than a game 4, which we imagine it will, 3 through 5 in New York, 6 and 7 obviously at Dodger Stadium. So Garrett Cole on the mound tonight for New York. This is to me a matchup between two squads who go about business very differently when it comes to their pitching staffs. The Dodgers just out of pure necessity because they have to. So in the case of the Yankees, they rely heavily on their starting line because their bullpen has struggled in late innings. They did in Game 3 against the Cleveland Guardians. Throughout the course of the playoffs, they've struggled in that bullpen more so than I think are getting credit for. For the Dodgers, their bullpen is their starting rotation in many instances. They've gone with some bullpen games. They've relied on guys. Obviously, Jack Flaherty starting tonight. They've relied on guys to be able to get it done late innings. And I'm telling you, this is listen, the two stories of this game, it's Shohei Ohtani, it's Aaron Judge. And the comp, so this is Shohei's first postseason. The comp between these two guys as it pertains to be able to finish in the postseason, to be elite when it comes to these big-time games. Aaron Judge, ladies and gentlemen, do I have the stats here on my phone? Aaron Judge, in his postseason career, folks, is a .203 batter. On-base percentage of .311, which drops from .406 in the regular season that he normally has. Slugging percentage drops from .604 to .450, and OPS drops from 1.010 to .761. So Aaron Judge is not a great playoff performer. Now, to his credit, he had the big home run in Game 3 that could have won the game for the Yankees before the Guardians, in Big Christmas, got the job done in the 9th, and then they walked it off, obviously, in the 10th. Other than that, Aaron Judge has has been, and I've said this coming into the playoffs, has been a disappearing act in the postseason. Shohei Ohtani is not. Shohei Ohtani, ladies and gentlemen, with runners in scoring position in his last 23 at-bats, he's batting .718. The Shohei's been elite. Mookie Betts has been great. Freddie Freeman's dealing with injuries. We'll see what he's able to give the Dodgers in this series. The irony of this matchup is we talk about the two big brands, Yankees, Dodgers, New York, LA. You got stars of the Yankees, Judge, Soto, Stanton on the side of the Dodgers. You got Mookie, you got Shohei, you got potentially Freeman. And you got two managers who've been much maligned by basically every baseball fan in existence, certainly the fans of their teams. Dave Roberts, shout out to him, former Red Sox, and Aaron Boone of the New York Yankees. This, to me, is going to come down to which team can get off to a faster start. I think if it's the Dodgers, the Yankees are screwed because I trust the Dodgers bullpen far more than I trust the Yankees. Again, there's a point in time where LA went 33 consecutive scoreless innings between Game 4 against the Padres when they were facing elimination in that series, all the way through the end of Game 1 against the New York Mets. It's an elite bullpen. Dave Roberts, thus far, has been pushing all the right buttons. I mean, they beat a Padres team I thought had the matchup advantage over them. They beat the Mets, who were 12 out of 10 and playing exceptional situational baseball. The Yankees haven't really been tested yet. They played a young Royals team, a Guardians team who's allergic to consistent offense. So, for that reason, give me the Los Angeles Dodgers. Win this series in 6 games over the New York Yankees. They'll close it out in Game 6 in LA. And all these haters talking about, the Dodgers won a fake ring in 2020. Folks, everybody was under the COVID circumstances. The Dodgers the one that won it, okay? All 30 teams were under those circumstances. LA came away with the crown. They'll do it again in the 2024 World Series. And once again, I'll be able to play. It's been so long. It's beautiful soundbite.
Yankees lose.
Yes, indeed. Hopefully that'll be the case once again. Dodgers in 6 games over the New York Yankees. They'll get the job done. I'm going to say Mookie Betts, former Red Sox. Further breaking my heart because I love Mookie. I wish he was still in Boston. But Mookie Betts, not Ohtani, Betts will be your World Series MVP. I say he has a go-ahead homer in like the 6th or 7th inning of Game 6 to put the Dodgers up, and they won't give up the lead from there. And I'll tell you, listen, I hope as a baseball fan, they'll move to NFL predictions. I hope as a baseball fan that this is able to revitalize it. We did a topic on this in the 8 o'clock spot, and basically all the contestants, I understand why we're pretty pessimistic and skeptical of the idea that, hey, maybe this could bring baseball back to prominence. Hopefully. I mean, listen, I'm crossing my fingers. I hope so. I despise the Yankees, and I hate the fact I like the Dodgers. I just hate the fact that they have our guy Mookie. Whatever happens, I do hope this brings baseball back to the national scene in a way that it hasn't been, frankly, folks, in some time. The NFL, we know, is going to dominate every sport. College football, not terribly far behind. Then you have the NBA. The WNBA is on a far more upward trajectory than baseball is these days. There's no question about that. College basketball, I mean, this baseball's kind of fallen on the back burner to these other sports. If they can't capitalize on this, I'm not sure if they're going to ever capitalize on it, especially with the star power in this. You got the 2 best players in the sport, the 2 biggest markets in the sport, 2 most recognizable baseball caps in America. How many Yankees hats and Dodgers hats you just see out in the streets in this country? They're everywhere. They're everywhere. So I got the Dodgers in 6. Mookie is MVP. And gosh darn Yankees, their championship drought will live on. And maybe they'll lose Juan Soto to, can the Red Sox get him? I mean, listen, you never know. If a front office would actually, spend money, that'd be nice. Listen, you don't want to hear from a bitter Red Sox fan. You don't want to hear from that. What you do want to hear, hopefully at least, is NFL predictions. Week 8. So again, so I'm 1-0. 1-0, against the spread, and 1-0 in terms of just the pure win losses. I took the Rams, in the points and the 3 points last night, and to win outright. They were able to get the job done. So let's get into Week 8 NFL predictions. We'll go and get the background music going on right now. Week 8 in the National Football League, and we got some solid football games ahead. And we will start with, this is amazing to me, the New York Jets and the New England Patriots. So look, folks, the Patriots are, how can I say this? They're terrible. Drake Mays looked good. First 2 games of his rookie career was solid against Houston, given the fact his first start. I thought really good. Listen, the Jaguars don't have a very good defense, but I thought really good against Jacksonville. Here's the problem. They have no talent at wide receiver, no talent at the running back position. Their defense has gotten cooked, and their coaches called them soft. So things aren't going terribly well in Foxborough. Even Belichick called them out, called Jerome Mayo out in particular. The good news for them is they're playing a Jets team, which for reasons, folks, I cannot understand, are 2-5, and on the road are 7-point favorites. I'm not saying the Jets should be dogs, by the way. I'm not implying that. 7 on the road. I get the Patriots are bad. Jets ain't that much better. We obviously saw them blow them out in week 3, but A, short week. B, at home. C, Brissett was the quarterback. So I've got the Patriots in the points in this game. I'll take the Jets to win this game. I guess this isn't Bryson Bleak bet, but I guess I'm not crazy about it. But Jets 21, Patriots 16. I cannot believe that Vegas. If it had been 4.5, that felt like it'd have been 7 a touchdown. No, that is insanity to me. Give me the Patriots plus the 7, but the Jets to win this football game outright. It is now time for my favorite segment of the week, the first game for
Bettin Man.
Ira Bettin Man. I'm looking at the Philadelphia Eagles and the Cincinnati Bengals. So Cincinnati in this spot. Do we have the line? Cincinnati in this spot is favored -3 by a field goal. So look, you got 2 teams coming in that are not playing exactly their best football. Listen, kudos to the Philadelphia Eagles for proving me dead wrong on my upset of the week pick. I picked the Giants. I thought the Dable versus Sirianni thing. Problem is Dable has a terrible quarterback. Sirianni has a fine quarterback who just has bad coaching. Philadelphia, though, they are a terrible defense. I don't get. Listen, the numbers. I get they've been affixed to a certain degree because they played the Giants. Right, because they played a Browns team with Deshaun Watson. We get all those things. That ain't Joe Burrow. That ain't Jamar Chase. And here's what we know about Cincinnati. And this can go a long way because the Bengals in the first 5 games of the year got cooked defensively. We're terrible. Couldn't get a pass rush. Their secondary is getting burned. Quarterbacks have plenty of time to throw. 7 points against the Giants. Okay, it's the Giants. And then 14 against a Browns team that actually upgraded at quarterback by the second half of this game. Those are bad football teams. I get it. At the same time, you've seen a shift in this defense. They've gotten better. By the way, we have a longer history. Folks are like, why aren't you giving that same benefit of the doubt to Philly? Because their defense was bad last year. Cincinnati's wasn't. Cincinnati has had a solid defense under Lou Anarumo for years now. So I believe in them. They're at home. Joe Burrow against that defense. If I were a Batman, give me the Bengals -3 to win this game, 27-20. Listen, to me, this is between Burrow and with this receiving core against that defense, this is a complete mismatch. Listen, Cincinnati, by the way, Bengals are more desperate. If Philly loses, I don't think Philly's making the playoffs, by the way, but if Philly loses, it's not the end of the world today. For Cincinnati, they fall to 3-5 with the Ravens and the Steelers having favorable matchups down the road. Their chances to win the AFC North may go up in smoke, as great as Burrow is. So if I were a bet man, give me the Bengals -3 and to win this game, or obviously to win this game outright, give me Cincinnati -3 and to win 27-20. It is now time for my upset of the week. Y'all are going to love this one. Give me the Jacksonville Jaguars over the Green Bay Packers, 27-24, Jaguars +4, and to win this puppy outright. Here's why I'm saying it. So for Green Bay, they, kudos to them, getting the job done at home against the Houston Texans. Here's the problem. As bad as this Jacksonville Jaguars defense is, if their defensive backs are worth their salt, hopefully they can catch. Because Jordan Love's going to give them opportunities. Jordan Love, who has the mechanics of Aaron Rodgers and the decision-making of Brett Favre. Now, he doesn't give you quite the upside that Favre gave you. Favre was one of the 10 greatest quarterbacks ever. But when Love's going, he's got it going to Jaden Reed with the deep ball and Romeo Doubs, the intermediate route. And is tied in with Tucker Kraft. They're really good. But this is Trevor Lawrence at home. This is Trevor Lawrence, ladies and gentlemen, as we're starting to approach the deep into autumn. We're starting to get close to the second half of the season. If we know anything about Trevor Lawrence, it's that he gets it done. We know the fact that in 2022, Jaguars are 4-8, and he rolls off not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, 5 straight wins to win Jacksonville the AFC South and a playoff game in which he was down 27-0 to the Chargers. And then last year, he was getting it going. He had a stretch, I think he had like 9 touchdowns, 10 touchdowns, something like that, 1 or 0 interceptions, and then he got hurt. As the Jaguars were in position to maybe get the 1 seed in the conference. Doug Peterson was coaching for his job every single week. Trevor Lawrence, again, quietly, people don't want to hear this. People don't want to like the facts. Trevor Lawrence been pretty good this year. 9-3 touchdown interception ratio. That's good. He's seventh in the NFL, folks, in QBR. He's playing better football over the last few weeks. He's gotten his confidence back up. His deep ball is back to Brian Thomas Jr. I love Jacksonville's matchup. Upset of the week. Give me the Jaguars over the Packers. 27-24. Won't be a close one. Listen, Green Bay, it's a classic. You're coming up a big game against the Texans. It's a classic look-ahead game. Yeah, right. You got the Lions coming to town next week. It's a big, big game for Green Bay. Or is that game in Green Bay or in Detroit? Yeah, it's in Green Bay next week. So it's a look-ahead game. Prime position for my Jaguars. I say my Jaguars because I love Trevor Lawrence to take advantage. Jaguars 27. Packers 24. Not going to spend a lot of time in this game because it's going to be a blowout. Titans and Lions. Lions are favored. The line keeps going up. My graphic here says Lions minus 11. This graphic says Lions minus 12.5. It's the biggest line we've seen this season, and it should be. Listen, Tennessee has an anemic offense. They can't get anything going. And oh, by the way, they just traded DeAndre Hopkins. I don't know if Will Levis is starting. I don't know if it's Mason Rudolph. Here's what I know. It's Detroit at home. Detroit didn't lose a whole heck of a lot at home. Jared Goff has a pass rating in the 140s over his last 4 games. This Detroit offense is darn near unstoppable. Number 1 scoring offense in the NFL. Give me the Detroit Lions. This is easy. Minus 11. Tennessee will get their points because I don't love Detroit's defense, certainly without Aiden Hutchinson. But Detroit minus 11, 34-19. The lines kept going up, so I feel like it's a good spot if you got it at minus 11 when you did. Give me Detroit 34-19 over the Tennessee Titans. That sucker won't even be remotely close. This next game is always my Bryson's Bleak bet. Atlanta Falcons, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, NFC South matchup. The Falcons on the road are 2.5-point favorites. So look, Tampa Bay suffered as devastating a loss on Monday Night Football as you could imagine. Not just the fact that they lost the game. Everybody loses, except for the Chiefs, evidently. But guess what? Mike Evans is out for the foreseeable future with a re-aggravated hamstring, and Chris Godwin, in heartbreaking fashion, when the outcome had probably been decided, the Bucs had maybe a chance, but pretty much been decided, breaks his ankle. Done for the season. Maybe done as a Buccaneer because he's going to be a free agent. So it's a devastating spot for Tampa. It's a divisional matchup that is gigantic for both these teams. Atlanta won a classic Thursday night matchup at home against these same Buccaneers a couple of weeks back. Listen, Tampa's going to fight their butts off. Atlanta's been susceptible on defense, so Baker will get his. I'll take the Falcons. This is almost the Bryce's Bleak bet game. I'll take Atlanta minus 2.5 and to win 28-24 against Tampa. It's in Tampa Bay. You could see a spot where the Buccaneers just come out desperate and find a way to win this game. I'll go with Atlanta tentatively. Here was Bryce's Bleak bet. We'll go to put it up there. Bryce's Bleak bet. It's the one game every week that I've absolutely zero confidence in predicting. But hey, you got to predict them all. I don't know what to do with this one. Arizona Cardinals, Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins are 4-point favorites at home. So Tua's coming back in this game. Tua's going to be ready to go. Off that concussion, off missing every game since week 2, of course. Wishing the biggest knock on whatever for Tua. I'm praying like crazy for him. I wish he would wear a guardian cap. That's neither here nor there. Arizona, though, coming in off a big-time win in Monday Night Football against the Chargers. That said, it's a short week for Arizona. You're flying all the way from Glendale to Miami. Okay, that's a long flight. Having Tua back, I think, re-energizes the Miami Dolphins. With that said, I don't like Miami's defense. I don't particularly love Arizona's defense. I'll take the Cardinals +4, but Miami to win 26-23. I think Tyreek Hill will break one finally now that he has somewhat decent quarterback play with Tua coming back. But I imagine Tua could be a little bit rusty. By the way, Miami's more desperate than Arizona. Arizona can still, in theory, I don't think they will, but in theory, win the division if they lose this game in the NFC West. The Dolphins are cooked if they lose this game to the Cardinals. Take Arizona +4, Miami to win this game outright. Not spend a lot of time in this game, even though I actually think it'll be somewhat more close than people think. Ravens-Browns, AFC North matchup. Here's what we know about Cleveland. They're getting an upgrade at quarterback. Okay, Jameis Winston's going to start. He, at this point, is objectively better than Deshaun Watson. Here's what we know. The Ravens, for as great as they are, have arguably the single worst pass defense in football. Now, the Browns don't have Amari Cooper, but they do have Nick Chubb. Okay, they do have I do have guys like Njoku. They can get things going in the pass game. I can see a spot with, again, short week for the Ravens, divisional matchup. Maybe they look ahead a little bit. It'll be closer than folks think. Give me the Browns plus the 8.5, but the Ravens win this one outright. 24-17. Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson will continue to do their thing. Colts, Texans, AFC South matchup. Houston is a 5-point favorite here at home. I don't love this. I don't love this line. Here's why I'm going with the Texans -5. Anthony Richardson cannot complete passes consistently. Just can't. He's a 50% completion guy on a good day. He's not accurate. He's mobile, and that could give the Texans problems. But for Houston on their side, it's Nico Collins is out on IR, and he appears to been the lifeblood for their offense. They can't get much going at all the last couple of weeks consistently. Joe Mixon, I think, will be the difference. They'll be able to get things done against a Colts defense that is not very good. I'll take the Texans to get a bounce-back win, 25-17 over their division rival, the Colts. Don't love Houston -5, but I'll take it anyway. Texans 25, Colts 17. Moving to the afternoon slate of games, the Saints and the Chargers. LA is a 7-point favorite at home. I really like the Chargers in this spot, and here's why. So, again, I get it's a short week, but here's the fact of the matter. You lose this game to a Spencer Rattler quarterback team, you're in bad shape. Certainly, you're probably not going to win the division anyway because the Chiefs don't lose. But this is kind of a culture game for Jim Harbaugh, for Justin Herbert, to kind of reestablish things, win games that you should win, despite not playing your best football as of late, despite dealing with injuries to your offensive line. Justin Herbert has kind of had to carry them the last couple of weeks. They moved the ball effectively in Arizona. They just couldn't capitalize when they needed to capitalize. They kicked 5 field goals, did not get in the end zone one time. Dennis Allen, listen, his calling card, he's a bad head coach, but his calling cards have always been defense. And now the Saints defense is getting shredded by Tampa, by Denver. They're just getting shredded by everybody. Give me the Chargers in this spot. -7, 30-16. I think this is a get-right game for the Chargers. Put themselves in a position to where they're in that AFC wildcard mix. LA 30, Saints 16 in SoFi Stadium. Let's move on to Bills Seahawks. Again, another game I was thought about for Bryson Bleak bet. Listen, Buffalo's favored -3 in the spot. Seattle, obviously coming off an impressive win on the road, blowout win against Atlanta. The thing I struggle with is Buffalo could be without Mac Hollins. They could be without Curtis Samuel. Seattle, see if Reek Woolen comes back. We'll see. Kenneth Walker's been dealing with injuries all season long. This Buffalo defense is better than it gets credit for. Okay, they can get to the quarterback. They've got a good secondary. And folks, Josh Allen hasn't thrown a pick this year. Now, that I probably just jinxed him. He may throw a pick in Seattle on Sunday. We'll see. I like Buffalo in the spot. They're 5-2. Amari Cooper has brought an entirely new, not identity, has opened up this Bills offense more than anybody in their roster previously could have. It'll help Keon Coleman. It'll help the 2 tight ends they've got. And I imagine it'll help the running game as well because teams will have to respect the fact that you've got an excellent wide receiver opposite Josh Allen. Give me this Buffalo Bills in the spot, 27-23. Close one. They do cover over the Seattle Seahawks, 27-23. The Bills will win this game and get to 6-2 and just create even more separation with those terrible New York Jets. Bears Commanders. It's a shame that Jaden Daniels is out for this game. We could have gotten number 1 pick Caleb Williams, number 2 pick Jaden Daniels facing off in Washington. Unfortunately, Daniels is out, and the Bears, as a result, are a 3-point favorite. I know folks are saying, hey, Marcus Mariota, good backup, came in. The Commanders scored 40 over Carolina. Repeat that sentence again. 40 over Carolina. That's a lot of teams are going to smoke the Panthers this year. They're the worst team in football. They're terrible. So for Chicago, they're coming off of a bye. We'll see if Shane Waldron he's been good the last few weeks, but if he can really, to be frank, get his act together with Caleb Williams and be able to help Caleb be to put him in position to where he doesn't have to make tough throws week after week after week like he's had to the last few weeks. Caleb, it could be 4 straight games potentially against a bad Washington pass defense with a 100 passer rating. I like Chicago in the spot. Give me the Bears 28-21 over the Commanders. Washington will score points because they're well coached on that side and they've got playmakers. And Mariota's a good low-end starter, high-end backup guy. But I like the Bears to make the playoffs this year, especially with Jaden Daniels out. You got to take advantage of this spot, even if it's on the road in Washington. Bears 28, Commanders 21. It's time. Oh, wait, actually, it's not time for upset of the week, or if I were Bettin Man yet. Carolina Panthers, Denver Broncos. Again, second biggest spread of the season. Denver is a 10-point favorite at home. Listen, Sean Payton, extra time to prepare at home. Bo Nix is quietly playing really, really good football, and the Panthers, not so quietly, are a terrible defense. And by the way, just had a terrible week. Andy Dalton, God bless him. Thank God he's okay. He was in a car accident this week is okay, but he's not going to play on Sunday. It's going to be Bryce Young. And bless Bryce Young, but he's going against I sound like such a Southerner there. Bless him. Bryce Young is going to be going against a Denver Broncos defense that will just eat quarterbacks alive all season long. Give me the Broncos in the spot 31-13 over the Panthers. This is a pretty easy one. Denver, who I said would be a surprise potential playoff contender this season, 31-13 over the Carolina Panthers. It's now time for my second game for
Bettin Man.
Bettin Man. Divisional matchup with a hint of revenge. The Kansas City Chiefs, the Las Vegas Raiders. Another big line here. Chiefs are favored -9.5. Here's what we know, folks, is that the Raiders are a broken locker room. They're a broken locker room. They just traded Devontae Adams. They're dealing with injuries to the quarterback position with Aiden O'Connell. So Gardner Minshew back in the saddle. Okay, you got Antonio Pierce saying guys making business decisions. Max Crosby should get traded, but apparently doesn't want to get traded. It's a weird thing, but wants to win. It's a mess in Vegas. A Vegas team who's the most recent to beat the Kansas City Chiefs on Christmas Day. So Mahomes, who was made fun of by the Raiders for his Kermit-sounding voice. Listen, I'm not saying it's going to be a blowout of epic proportion, but give me the Chiefs a spot with DeAndre Hopkins in the lineup, 27-12 over the Las Vegas Raiders. Mahomes, both games against Vegas, is going to make his presence felt. I'm thinking 3 touchdowns passing for Patrick Mahomes in this game on the road in Vegas. Chiefs win 27-12 over the division rival, the Las Vegas Raiders. And now, listen, this is one of my favorite games of the year for
Bettin Man.
If I were a betting man, I'm looking at the Dallas Cowboys and the San Francisco 49ers from Santa Clara. Niners are a 4.5 point favorite in this game. Dallas coming off a bye. Mike McCarthy against the spread. I saw 13-3-1 against the bye. Good coaches worth their salt are good off the bye. Extra time to prepare. We get that. And we get that the Niners are going to be without Brandon Ayuk. They're still without Christian McCaffrey. Deebo Samuel just had pneumonia earlier this week. Here's what we know. Looks like Debo's going to play. Looks like George Kittle's going to play. Trent Williams is there. The Niners defense is still really talented, and the Cowboys have basically no talent on offense or on defense other than Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb and Micah Parsons when healthy, but he's not. The Niners own the Cowboys. This is a game to determine, is San Francisco a contender? If they lose to Dallas at home, okay, in a spot where they can fall to 3-5, Niners are done as a championship contender, can still make the playoffs, done as a contender. I don't think that's going to happen. Love you, Dak. You're not beating a team that has an unholy amount of talent more than you do. San Francisco, get right game, 31-16 over the Dallas Cowboys. If I were a bet man, take San Francisco -4.5 and to win this thing 31-16 over the Dallas Cowboys. Did Dallas have Atlanta next week? I think they do. Is that who Dallas has got? At the Falcons in Atlanta. Well, Atlanta doesn't have a very good defense, so Dallas could win that game. They ain't beating San Francisco because they never beat San Francisco. Why should I think things are going to change with that gigantic of a talent and a coaching gap? All right, that is all the time we have for today's show. I appreciate everybody stopping by as always, even if we weren't live. Be sure to catch us. We will be live on Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific time, right here on Facebook, as well as the Carving It Up YouTube channel and Grid Network YouTube channel. Lots to discuss today. Had a blast. Hope everybody out there did as well. We got a great sports weekend, World Series, college football, great NFL stuff, and NBA's back. This is Halloween's coming up. There's that little election thing that's not stressing anybody out. It's a good time to be alive, folks. It really, really is. All right. I'll see you guys on Monday. Please stay safe out there. Please be sure to take care of your physical as well as your mental health. And please, 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 be sure to contact your local state representatives and senators to demand change for gun violence in America. Doesn't matter where you lean, right, left, center. This issue that affects every single one of us as Americans on a day-to-day basis. And no matter anybody tries to tell you, it's not a problem or there's only one solution to the problem. Both are BS. Both are not true. It's a gigantic problem that needs a number of detailed, nuanced solutions to solve it. And this being an election year, if there's anybody on the ballot that shows no sense of urgency to address it, vote them out of office because we got to get this solved as soon as possible. Dodgers in 6. Love my NFL picks. Cannot wait. See y'all on Monday. Stay safe out there, everybody. God bless y'all. Peace out. Please don't let the Yankees win, Dodgers. Please. Thanks so much for watching the show on YouTube, and be sure to go click that big red subscribe button and check out the other clips and full shows from Carving It Up Live, as well as our other incredible content creators here on the Grid Network.